It is Wednesday, May 20th, 2020, and yesterday 2 dams broke north of town, here in Midland, Michigan. So it's been raining for the last 3 days straight, and that's how this all happened. Too much rainwater into the river overwhelmed the dams that are both north of town. And of course, the even more disheartening thing about people having to be evacuated from their homes right now is, of course, that it's happening during the middle of a global pandemic. So not only are people worrying about work and food safety and all that crap, but now they can't even self-isolate like we're being told to do. I know people have been evacuated to the local high school, and many more have gone to hotels nearby and families nearby. I was just speaking to a friend last night who said one of her friends who works in healthcare has just been recently diagnosed with COVID and now is told that he needs to evacuate his family from their house while he's not even supposed to be anywhere near them. What do you even do in that instance? I just can't believe how beautiful and sunny it is right now. Like, it is just straight blue skies. The trees are in bloom. You would never know. This is Main Street right now. People are out and about, walking around. Oh, I think everyone else is here to see it too. My God. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy shit. One thing I will say though is this river does flood every year. It floods every year, really without fail, but never to this extent. I think they said the last flood of this proportion was in '86, and this is rivaling that. 10,000 people have been evacuated already. This is, without a doubt, the busiest I have ever seen downtown, and not a single shop is open. Absurd. The street signs. That is the farmer's market. The roof of the farmer's market.
Yeah, because needed to be redone. If we said no, nobody would pay. Right. The hydro company didn't want to pay it. The landowners didn't want to pay it. It's been an argument for years. No, they had taken the water down to work on it, and then the people wanted the water back up, so they put the water back up, which it would have been better if the water had been down. But now it's back to being the river.
Right.
I mean, it's just
back
amazing.
to the way nature intended it to be, in a way.
Yeah, Mother Nature said it was a river, not a
lake. That's right.
But it's weird to look at that bridge, and the bridge is broken, and the water. I mean, here's Stryker's Marina, and there's no water. There's,
Yeah.
It's just so weird. It's so strange.
We're up close down there. Literally walking down the middle of the highway. Right now. Oh. Oh. Holy shit. The Dow plant is completely submerged. I know this doesn't make sense if you've never been to Midland, but like, none of this should be underwater. That's the tridge there. The river is typically another story or two below it. That there is like a senior living residence. Looks like the first floor is underwater.
1
highway literally just ends with water. Part of the concern is, like I was speaking with that woman about, is the Edenville bridge was apparently already compromised, I guess. Like it hadn't been, there's reports coming out that it hadn't been passing inspection for the last couple of years. So this was really just a matter of time, you know, the right storm, or this amount of rain in 3 days, and there was no way it could have managed it. All the tributaries to the river are currently being flooded, which is why like houses in the center of town are being affected, because they're not near the Tittabawassee, the main river that's being flooded, but they're near all the creeks that come off of the Tittabawassee. Let's see. Okay, everyone here is still in their houses. Oh, mother trucker. Holy shit. This is in the middle of town. People are just trying to get their houses. I should note also, I have a mask. I know I haven't been wearing it. I apologize. Probably should have been. I promise I wasn't getting close to anyone or touching anyone. But can you imagine having to evacuate your home, and you have to go, if you don't have anywhere to go, like a hotel, like these people or family, like just social distancing is fucked for you. Like they've evacuated people to the high school and you're just living in a mass, you're living in the gymnasium on cots. Like social distancing just does not exist. Ooh, I feel it. I feel it coming up. I can't walk any farther without being in the middle of it. I can't see the ground. I know I'm about to like step off into the street, but I literally just, I can't see where I'm walking at all. This isn't even near the river. It's not even near the river. That woman was saying that she thinks this is backed up from the sewer. Just people having to turn around. Just can't reach their houses. Hi there. That's a bold move.
Yeah. Not my truck.
Not my truck.
Oh my god.
Thanks, man. Mm-hmm.
Because my boots, it's up to my knees right here.
So just on the other side of the water on this road here is my old high school that I think is underwater now. Okay, so it's the next day and I am on my way north to where the dams broke.
Go up that way?
I'm not sure.
So the tree has been ripped straight out of the ground. Carried up over the bridge. Good God. Standing on the road where it just chopped off, where the river just took it away. Like, just swept away concrete. There it is. Completely bare. Oh my God. Oh. So you can't see the dams from here. I couldn't get anywhere near them actually because of all the road blockages. But this is what's left of the lake now that they're gone. The dams used to be holding back all that water, and without them there, this is what's left of it. It blows my mind that this was naturally drained. Like, there was no assistance from man-made sources. Like, this is just what happened after all that built up water finally left, you know? Hi, Future Kaylee here. I am just editing this video and I need to add this clip because I keep learning new information from new perspectives and it changes everything. Okay, so first off, remember that Michigan has one of the highest COVID infection rates in the country. And now on top of that, the governor has issued a state of emergency for this flood, which is now officially the worst on record in this area, surpassing the 1986 flood. And the river crested at 35 feet, 11 feet over the flood level on the 20th of May. And now that the worst has come and passed, there are a lot of long-term concerns coming out of this, primarily economical and environmental. And the one that I find so strange and alarming is the fact that the Edenville Dam was privately owned, and that's the one that broke. And they had been encouraged to make renovations as early as 2004, and in 2018 their license was even revoked for, I quote, "The federal agency is concerned the dam may not have the ability to pass enough water if a severe flood were to hit, among other issues and violations." First of all, straight dumb that the thing was allowed to operate that long when it knowingly needed repairs. Like, how was that allowed to happen? How are those repairs not mandatory? The riverbank floods every year, nearly without fail, even when the dam isn't breached. Like, did we really think that was never going to be a concern? Secondly, it blows my mind that a private entity could legally manipulate nature to that extent. Does that make sense? Like, building a dam large enough to engorge a river to a size that it becomes a lake, and then you build and sell properties around that lake to normal people as if it's completely natural and there's nothing completely weird about that. And I know man-made lakes aren't uncommon, but it just feels like a disaster waiting to happen. So our governor actually visited town and said that this was especially devastating because it was happening during a pandemic, a 100-year event, and now this flood happens on top of it, a 500-year event. And I'm like, well, it happened in 86, so it's not exactly a 500-year event now, is it? And it's not that historic in the sense that it really wouldn't have happened if the river had been allowed to flow naturally. This is not a freak of nature accident. It happened because something was built to contain the river, and it couldn't do that. I have heard that investigations and lawsuits will probably take place in the near future, but I feel like there should be like a public outrage over this. Someone builds a dam, they say the dam will hold back all the water, it doesn't, and now my house, 10 miles downriver and in the center of town, is filled with water from sewers. Is that company not responsible for that? Do they not owe me a new house now? It just raises a whole slew of ethical, environmental, and economic issues between the coronavirus outbreak and this compounded on top of that. Like, I don't think Mother Nature has ever sent more of a message to sit the fuck down. We are operating above max capacity. And I've not even mentioned the fact that the floodwaters reached the Dow chemical plant and potentially toxins are now contaminating the river. I haven't even mentioned that. Thankfully, no one was injured or killed, but so many homes and businesses were lost, and frankly, some will just never recover from it, and that's the sad but really true truth. Okay, so it's about a month after the dam failures, and right now I'm in downtown Sanford, which is the area that got hit probably the hardest by the floods. And as you can see, it's just completely decimated. Like, I don't think there's a single business that was spared. I had tried to get here a month ago, and they weren't even letting anyone in who didn't have an ID with an address listed for this neighborhood. I couldn't even get here if I wanted to. This is what Sanford Lake looks like 1 month after the dams were broken. And that there is the Sanford Dam, or what's left of it. I find this so interesting because now that everything's settled and you can see what the river used to look like what it's meant to look like naturally if the dams weren't there. This is what the Tittabawassee River would look like. So this used to be like a playground with baseball diamonds, and all this sand is stuff that the flood carried here. None of this was here, it was grass before. And this would have been the first thing hit after the dam broke, because that right there is where the water overflowed on the Sanford Dam. These cars look like they must not have been moved yet after. Just caked in a layer of mud. So I'm just walking on the south side of Main Street in Sanford, and in what used to be a neighborhood, but it's just been completely decimated. Like, the houses are taken down to the concrete structure on the bottom. Every single wall is gone. Every single piece of furniture, of siding, of roofing is gone. It's just, this used to be like full of houses. This is a street. This is a neighborhood. These were people's yards. And there's just not a single structure standing anymore. You can see here how this would have been someone's driveway, led into their garage here, and a little pathway that would have led to their house, to their front door. Also, I'm now realizing that all this grass and stuff and growing wasn't here a month ago. And so this is not where the ground was. And I can tell because of the way that this piece of the bench is buried. Like, it's immovable. So it's sitting in like a foot of mud at least. Okay, so now that a month has passed since the flood and things are settling down and we're seeing how the situation is going to be handled for the future, it is still as fucked up and infuriating as it was a month ago. Alright, so let's talk about the damages first. I'm cheating, I'm using my notes, but the flood caused $200 million in damages, affecting 2,500 buildings, 150 homes were completely destroyed, and 790 faced major damages on top of the ones that were completely ruined. Billions of gallons of water. Billions of gallons. So there's the first problem, that like everyone's homes are lost and their businesses are lost. Okay, that sucks. That's really unfortunate. Now let's talk about insurance. Only 8%, okay, 8% of the homes damaged have flood insurance. And no, not because people are idiots, but because the majority of the homes damaged weren't in a flood zone. Why would you get flood insurance if you're not in a flood zone, if you're not in danger of it? Even the guy who runs one of the most popular insurance companies in town is like, I don't have flood insurance. He's like, I'm an insurance agent. Why would I have flood insurance if my home isn't in a flood zone? That doesn't make sense. And so all these insurance agencies, Uter, State Farm, Allstate, like they're all denying people's claims, people's insurance claims, because they don't cover natural disasters. This isn't a natural disaster. This is a man-made flood, if that's a thing. I don't know that it is, but like this is man-made. So no insurance is the second blow, on top of not having a house. Now you can't get the money to rebuild it. And then third of all is that there's no lake now. Like, it's gone. The water's gone, the dam is gone, there's no lake, and there's not gonna be a lake. I was talking to a woman who said it's gonna be like some odd 5 years before a lake is back. And that's not an unreasonable estimate, actually, when you think about it. When you think about all the investigations that have to take place, when you think of who's gonna buy the dam now, because that Boise Hydro is for sure gonna go bankrupt. They're not doing it anymore. Then you think of the time it takes to actually rebuild the dam, and then the time it takes for the dam to fill up again with water, just from, like, you have to have the precipitation to make that happen. So now there's no lake, and there's not gonna be a lake for years. That is everyone in town's property value, everyone on the lake, their property value, it's gone. And that's even if you have property left. Everyone's businesses, downtown, Main Street, again, even if you had a business left there, the economy of this small village is that lake. It's the summer fun aspect. It's the reason people, that's the only reason I ever came to Sanford, was to go to the lake. And that's the only reason people patron downtown. It's like, even if you wanted to rebuild your house at this rate, what's the point? Even if you do rebuild it, which you'll be doing on your own dime, it is worth absolutely nothing. It is worth absolutely nothing here anymore. The state did announce that they are going to be doing investigations, and independent investigations too, which is good, as to how this could have possibly happened. Even then, what's the answer going to be? Like, someone fucked up. The state's going to find that they're at fault in the end. Like, the Boise Hydro Company, it wasn't unknown that the dam wasn't up to speed. Like, they hadn't been passing inspection. The real answer is, why were they allowed to continue operating? But those investigations anyways are going to be a long time. Like, a preliminary report is expected in August, and then a full report by, I think, 18 months, they said. So in the meantime, there are private lawsuits happening by individuals against the Boise Hydro Company, and then there's a class action lawsuit happening, and the state is suing Boise Hydro too. Everyone's suing everyone, but really, who's gonna pay for it? Who's gonna pay for all this damage? Because Boise Hydro is just gonna file for bankruptcy. They are going to file for bankruptcy. There's gonna be no money. They're not gonna pay a dime. And in the end, I would not be surprised if this area just, I know it sounds terrible, but I would not be surprised if this area just disappears. If the economy is just gone here, if the people just move away, if the lake never gets rebuilt. That's the cheapest option. And even if they did rebuild the dams, like, would we not have the same or similar problem in the future? As much as I want everyone's homes back and everyone's property value back and everyone to be able to retire, as much as I want that, like, I think having the dams in the first place and having the lake in the first place is the problem to begin with. Like, they shouldn't be there. I know that the dams were originally for hydroelectric power, which is great. That's good, instead of burning so many fossil fuels. But I can't imagine, I've never actually heard about how much power those little dams generate, or how much of the city that they fuel. I've never heard anything about that. Like, no one in town is missing power because the dam's broke right now, you know? Like, that's not an issue. I don't know how much power they were generating or where it was going, but it obviously was of little importance. All the same problems are just gonna keep coming back. Boise Hydro had been pressured by the state to lower the water level so that they could fix the dam, but then they were pressured by the state to raise it because they were endangering some specific wildlife. And they were pressured by landowners to raise it because they paid for a freaking lake. Even if they're built again, those problems don't go away. I know I have a lot of opinions and absolutely no answers. And I'm so sorry for everyone who is just shit out of luck. But I think it might also be a mistake to rebuild it. The lake, at least, not your homes here. Like, rebuild those. But even then, it's not the same, is it, without the lake? I just think we'd be rebuilding the same broken wheel. And this isn't even to mention all the sentimental value of the area. Like, this is where I came to swim as a child. I don't know. It's just absolutely absurd. It's fucked up. It should have never happened. Who knows how many other cities and towns around the country are facing just straight it's negligence and it's greed. That's the only reason this happened. And now hundreds and hundreds of families are just starting over for no reason. They weren't even in a freaking flood zone. No one lived in a flood zone. No one was told to get flood insurance. This isn't a natural disaster that happened. Mother Nature didn't do this. Like, we did this. We built a dam. I don't know what else to say.